Hi, welcome back. Today I thought I'd make a Christmas card. So you're going to use a stamp set of your choice, some blending ink, I've chose the blue, some stamping ink, which I've chosen VersaFine Clear in the Black Nocturne, some clear embossing powder, an anti-static bag, or like mine, it's homemade. I'm using some watercolour pens today, and I've already stamped and heat embossed my image, and I'm using a paintbrush and some ribbon to make a bow. So I've fast forwarded and stamped and put the clear heat embossing powder on. The cardstock I'm going to use is Bristol Smooth cardstock. That holds water really well. And I've also made a mask for my candles, just so that I can ink blend without worrying too much. So I'm going to cover the 3 berries up as well. Or I do think I'm covering 3. Initially, I thought I had, but you'll see later that I didn't cover 3, I covered 2. But I do faff about with it a bit, but that's real crafting. We all faff about at some point, I am sure of that. So I'm just going to put some ink on my blending brush and just do some basic blending around the candlesticks and the base of the candle, just as a halo. I do want to tell you, the anti-static bag that I'm using, it is clean. It's a clean old sock, and I've just got talcum powder inside of it. I did run out of my anti-static powder, so I quickly just did that. And if any of you run out, you can also put cornstarch in an old sock. Obviously a clean one though. And it works well for me. So I've done my blending and I'm taking the mask off, and because I thought I'd put 3 of the berries on, I am faffing about here a little bit. I'm going to give up as a bad job with that in a second, but I get round it, as we all do as crafters. So that's the ink blending finished. I'm going to put a little clean water down and faux bleach that blue off that berry. Who'd have thought a little berry would cause this much trouble? I'm sure we all make mistakes, but they're easily rectified. So I'm just going to put a bit of colour down on my mat and put some water to it. I'm just making a wash for the base of the candlesticks. And because I heat embossed the actual image with the clear embossing powder, it does make it so that it's so easy and you don't go out of the lines. And like I say, it's just basic, just pop the colour down, nothing arty at all about it. I'm just doing the flame part as well of the candle. So popping some green down now for the holly leaves in a few different shades. I've used Arteza watercolour real brush pens and a pen set which are aqua markers, which I got from the range in the UK. They have a brush end on one side and a bullet nib on the other. They're really a good price point and come with their own case. I love them. So same again, just putting a wash down of the base colour. And I've gone from the candlesticks to the holly to give the candles a little bit of time to dry. Just building the colour up for the leaves. The cardstock what I've used to stamp my image on is Bristol Smooth cardstock. Although it's not technically a watercolour card, it does take water really well. I don't mean saturated, I just mean in a general watercolouring you can use the Bristol Smooth. Just dabbing any excess off with some kitchen towel. I do find this kind of colouring very relaxing, and it is a quick make as well. So if you wanted to batch make these Christmas cards, it's going to be a really easy project for you to do. So doing the berries now. But I still feel that there is the backing of the masking paper on there, and that's what I'm faffing about with it, still thinking it's there, but trust me, it's not. So I have a little faff for a bit and decide to faux bleach the colour out a little. And I don't really like the berry colour that I've done, so I'm going to get a more red colour and pop on top. And this red will match the ribbon a lot nicer, should I say. What I didn't show on the finished project was on the berries, I did put some Posca pen white highlights on it as well, just as a finish off, but obviously I had to wait until the cardstock was fully dry to add that. Blotting any excess out. So once I'm happy with that, just cleaning away any of the watercolours. And going back to the actual candles now. Just putting a shaded area down just to bring the candlesticks to life. And just doing a light wash to one side and blending through. It soon comes together, and I find it so relaxing just crafting. And we haven't had much good weather, so that's all basically we've had time for is a little crafting. So just put in some of the accent colour around the halo of the flame as well, and blend it through. I'm sorry if I don't talk much on these videos. I don't really know what to say. The candles I've used, the stamp set, it's called 3 Candles and it's by Woodware. So I've got my ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a bow with a length of ribbon. But again, I do faff about. Just seeing where I'd like my placement to be. So once you've made your bow, you need some good sharp snips to cut the length off. And neaten the edges up. So just getting my cardstock ready to assemble, and then I remember when I did the masking, I didn't cut between the candlesticks, and I want to put some blue in between them. So I start off not inking my brush, but then decide to go on to a smaller brush and add the layers gently with the blue ink. Just rather build the layers up gently, because if you go down gung-ho and then it's spoilt your actual design. So just build it up gently. Just taking a bit of care with it. And that's completed. So the actual base of the topper image is 6¼ inches by 4¼ The blue mat measures 6¾ by 4¾ I've also cut a sentiment out, which I did on the computer, and cut it out with a rectangle stitch die. And I want to tuck it into the side, in between the two layers. So I'm just having a look where I'd like it to go. So adding some wet glue to the underside of my topper image. Obviously you can use tape or anything that you'd like to put it down with. I'm not sticking it fully down because I will need to tuck my sentiment into the side. I'm popping a little glue down on that. Doing the placement and then giving it a press. So my actual base card, which I've made a 10 fold, that measures 5¼ by 7¼ So just popping that down with my wet glue. Now, because I make a 10 fold, I like to make a base for it. So it's going to measure 5¼ by 4. And on the 4-inch side, I do a score at 1/2, 2 and 3½. So now just fold and burnish your score lines. And using my glue, put glue on both sides. Now I've placed mine down on the front side with the folded edge towards the front. When you've got it in position, just give it a little press. Fold the rest over, then bring the back up to meet the front, and it'll naturally fall into its sitting position. So when you've given that a little press, you can then go in with your bone folder and give it a good burnish on both sides. So now it's time to put the bow on. I'm going to use a a glue dot, I think, on there. So I'm just going to get my glue dots. There we go. And that's all done. If you liked my tutorial, if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, I'd be so happy. Thank you. Bye bye.